Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. I am your host, Liv Moods, and there is much to discuss. I have to give a shout out to my producer, actually, for the exceptionally clever title of this show, which is Spit Happens. And listen, we're going to get into all of that. Obviously, I watched the game just like you guys did. I saw the moment. There's so much to discuss, especially now that the NFL season is like officially begun. We're going to have a lot of things that we can react to, talk about. So I'm very excited. We have more football happening tonight, but obviously last night we had the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles came out on top. I think I have a reason as to why that happened, and we're going to get into that in just a second as well. But as always, this is presented by Landmark Lincoln. If you guys don't know, I have recently purchased a 2025 Lincoln Nautilus, and it is the best car ever. I think my favorite feature is the hands-free. I've always been a little apprehensive about a car driving itself, but I have been wildly impressed by this car, and I'm obsessed with it, and I love it. So anyways, thank you guys for being here. Let me go ahead and I don't know. I don't think this is showing up for people on X. Again, I'm just chatting with my producer because she's on the back end of this, so she can hear everything. But I don't think this is showing up on X. So we'll try to get that figured out so we get some more people. But we do have YouTube. Duval says TGIF Live. Yes. Thank goodness it is Friday because we are one day closer to the Denver Broncos playing their first season opener, first game of the season. So much to discuss. But again, like I said, let's just get into it because there is a lot to talk about and I want to get to all of it and not keep you guys too long on your Friday. But like you said, Duval, TGIF, I'm right there with you. Okay, let's get into this really quick. It looks like we do have it on. We do have it on X. So I don't know if that was solved, but if you're joining us now, hello, and welcome in. Happy to have you. Okay, first and foremost, Nik Bonitto gets paid as he should, deservingly so. This was something that I had obviously hoped for, but anticipated as well. Nik Bonitto, a 4-year contract extension worth up to $120 million with $70 million guaranteed. Now, here's the deal. This was his first full season as a starter last year, 13 and a half sacks, a breakthrough season, if you will. The ceiling is very high for a young 25-year-old Nik Bonitto. In my opinion, this is an investment, and it's a damn good one. You're investing in a guy whose ceiling you know is exceptionally high. I think we all know that Nik Bonitto's ceiling is very high. I've been telling you guys for weeks to bet him for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think now that he's been paid, he's that much more locked in. He's that much more focused. Not that he wasn't before. Clearly he was. We saw what he did last season. But I think when these guys get their bag, when they feel secure, when they know this is home, when they know they're going to be playing here for a little while, you just get a little bit more out of them. You know, it's like Jamar Chase. Once they handled his contract business, I mean, we saw an absolute machine out of him. So I'm hoping for the exact same thing with Nik Bonitto. Again, already very impressed with what we saw from him last season, hoping we only get more, considering I did do a little sprinkle on Nik Bonitto for Defensive Player of the Year, and I suggest you do the same. He is now officially the highest paid non-quarterback in franchise history. Of course, we can expect that in the coming years, PS2 will also be up there, given he is a Defensive Player of the Year himself and one of the best in the league. I do think his ranking is a little low. I don't think he deserves 10. I would have put him above Myles Garrett, and I also would have put him above Justin Jefferson. Hear me out. Justin Jefferson is one of the best in the NFL. But as of late, kind of radio silence because of the team that he's on. So I'm just saying I would have probably put Pat Surtain, considering he is the Defensive Player of the Year, and just about every receiver in the league fears playing against him the most. I do think he deserved to be a little higher on that rankings list, but I digress. That's neither here nor there. Nik Bonitto got paid. This is a championship level defense that I think all of us can expect from the Denver Broncos this season. And if you're a Broncos fan, that should hype you up. Like I said, Nik Bonitto, his first full season as a starter, and he gets his bag. That shows this is an investment and they see a very high ceiling for him. And I think they're absolutely right with that. Okay. Speaking of high ceilings, the ceiling might be too high for a guy by the name of CeeDee Lamb. Hello. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. Kind of tough for me to put a ton of blame on Dak Prescott after the loss last night. I like this version of Dak Prescott. Felt a little rejuvenation out of him. Feels like we might be seeing sprinkles of this is the Dak they paid for. Okay. So wasn't really upset with Dak, and I'm struggling to find a reason to blame him today, which is kind of refreshing. Okay. Kind of refreshing. Now, there's still a lot of season left. Dak could do some Dak things and piss us all off, but for now, I'm struggling to find him to blame for last night's loss. Now, CeeDee Lamb, though, 7 receptions on 13 targets, however. I counted 4 drops from this guy in his hands, off his chest. These are things you expect from a rookie. These are not things you expect from a veteran. You need a CeeDee Lamb when the game is on the line to step up and show you that he is a veteran. He's a leader on this team. He's reliable, and he did not do that last night. He just didn't. CeeDee Lamb kind of feeling disappointed. Now, game was on the line. And like I said, that's the guy you expect to step up, and he just didn't. Big drops, embarrassing drops. I mean, I didn't even have a bet on this guy. And I was like, really? Okay. I didn't care one way or the other if he did anything. I had a George Pickens anytime touchdown. And to be honest with you, that felt really good all day. I even sprinkled on first touchdown. As you know, it didn't happen, which led to an extra glass of wine last night, which led to a hangover headache this morning, because I am getting to that stage of life where I can't even enjoy wine while I watch a football game without waking up the next morning feeling like I was hit by a semi-truck. It's true. It happens. We're there, folks. It's here. So yeah, CeeDee Lamb, need more out of you, and I think if you're looking at this Cowboys team, you saw a lot of things you liked last night. If you're a Cowboys fan, all things considered, given the last couple of seasons, you saw a lot of highlights there. If CeeDee Lamb is your largest concern as a Cowboys fan, I think you're all right. Right? I don't expect CeeDee Lamb to be Mr. Butterfingers the entire season, but yeah, tough cookies. I didn't like what I saw out of him. I expect more out of him. And quite frankly, I think he expects more out of himself. And let me tell you why. I think that might have been one of CeeDee Lamb's worst games as a pro. And I think he may agree. He may know that. There's a report going out there, and I'm not sure who this guy is, maybe some team reporter. He said players for the Cowboys are off today and through the weekend. Okay. But there was one player who was in the facility today. Can you guess it? I bet you can. CeeDee Lamb. Yep. CeeDee Lamb. This person was told that he spent quite a bit of time outside the jugs machine this afternoon, after a career-high 4 drops just last night. So I think he knows what we all know, which was that is unacceptable behavior, CeeDee Lamb, okay? You get in that gym, you start practicing, you get it together, and it looks like that's what he's doing. So hats off to CeeDee Lamb for knowing that what happened last night cannot ever happen again. So I think he's just as aware as we are that, yeah, you can't do that. Not if the Cowboys want to do anything significant this season, right? You need CeeDee Lamb. So a little bit of a disappointing performance from him. However, if you want something positive, I know Live Moods being positive. What? It's true. I'm working on that. So take it. Beggars can't be choosers. Okay. Javonte Williams. Wow. Can I just say, as a Denver Broncos fan, by the way, new tank top. You dig? I do. Nobody asked. Nobody cares. Javonte Williams. I am so happy for him. I really am. Okay, 15 rushes for 54 yards. We've seen better in the league, so I'm not going to spend too much time. 2 receptions for 10 yards, but 2 touchdowns. Javonte Williams in his element, truly. I mean, the starting running back, the guy getting fed the ball. I mean, this is really, really cool to see, especially because I think Broncos fans that really watched him and have been Broncos fans for a while knew he was capable of being great. I just think the Broncos have never truly committed to the run in the way in which they've needed to. Now, I'm hoping that changes given our running back situation here. Hoping this is a different situation this season. But in reality, the Broncos have not committed to the run as much as they should have. And so to see Javonte Williams in a situation where, yeah, you watch CeeDee Lamb drop the ball 4 times, you're going to need a Javonte Williams to step up and make an impact. And he did just that. Did he not? Yes, he did. So I'm very excited to see him just thriving, sad that it couldn't be here in Denver, but I do think Denver is on the up and ups in terms of their running back situation and committing to the run game a little more and having a more reliable run game for our young quarterback. I think that's on the horizon here, folks, but also pretty excited about Javonte Williams just thriving out there. Couldn't love it more. It's like an amicable breakup, It's like he was no longer serving us. We were no longer serving him. Put him somewhere where he's appreciated and he's actually got like a game plan. He knows he's going to make an impact. With a Sean Payton offense, it's kind of hard as a running back to know if you really even matter. It's the truth. It's the truth. And it's the truth. Hopefully things are different this year. But if you're on a Sean Payton offense and you're running back, you're like, I could be worthless today. He may not even know if I don't show up for work today. Do you know what I mean? So Javonte Williams being in Dallas, being with a quarterback that, we all kind of have some trust issues with, and rightfully so, especially the coaching, everything about the Cowboys feels like an untrustworthy, very anxiety-driven situation. So he's in a place where I think he's going to be utilized more, and boy, am I happy for him. Okay, guys. The deal about it is this. We have got to talk one more time. Dear God, I didn't think we'd be able to keep talking about this man, but Michael Porter Jr. at it again, saying just whatever the hell he wants. And you know what? He's allowed to. So I don't want you guys to hear this and be like, well, Liv, freedom of speech. Guys, I know how it works. Don't give me the rundown here. I understand. Freedom of speech. Yes. We get it. That being said, can we at least make sure that what he says is accurate or even like close to the truth? His take on the WNBA All-Stars versus the McDonald's All-American team, okay, fine. You could make an argument there that he was spot on or he had a point or he made a point, whatever. You could say, we appreciate your honesty, MPJ, that women are your vice. There's a lot of things you can say. But this latest one, he said, I just don't know if I actually think he might be going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with this one. So let's just run the tape really quick and then we'll break it down and discuss it. Here it is.
Name the players in the league that can for sure shoot better than me?
Yeah, realistic.
Steph and Curry. That's the only one I'm giving like a clearly can shoot better than me.
Yeah.
There is dudes that are on the same, like I think D-Book, Klay Thompson, KD. I think like if I got in the gym with like Duncan Robinson, he probably could shoot with me. Trae Young, Dame. But like I think Steph is the only one that's like clearly a better shooter.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. In the sky above. Did he just put himself with Kevin Durant? Did he do that? Did I hear that correctly? Is that what my ears just heard? Did he say that the only player that comes to mind that clearly shoots better than him is Steph Curry? Did we hear that correct, folks? I think we did. Now, Michael Porter Jr., let me hold your hand when I say this. Aaron Gordon shot better than you last season. Your own damn teammate was a better shooter than you last season. I'm not sure in what world, on what planet you think Steph Curry is the only player that comes to mind that shoots better than you, because I could name some on your own team. Okay, like what are we doing here? Again, freedom of speech is all good and great. But when you start just not making sense, you start just spewing nonsense left and right, someone's got to get in here and tell you like it is, and it's going to be me. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, Michael Porter Jr., but you could not be more off with this little statement here, okay? I hate to break the bad news, but you are not on the same level as Kevin Durant. You're not. You're not. Maybe Klay Thompson, maybe, but he's old, okay? And his body's breaking down. So I wouldn't flex on that just yet, okay? Aaron Gordon, your own teammate, who is not notoriously a shooter, shot better from the three-point line this last postseason than you did. What are you talking about? Steph Curry is the only player that comes to mind. Okay. What's in the water that he's drinking in Brooklyn? Because it's starting to get concerning where his brain is going with some of these things. Come on. I'm sorry, Michael Porter Jr. Lots of love to you, wishing you nothing but the best. But you and Kevin Durant are not on the same level at all. And had you been, you'd probably still be in Denver, and we would have had maybe not just one ring, but a few. Okay. If you were Kevin Durant level, I don't think we would have stopped at just one championship. Okay. There would have been a dynasty forming that you were a part of. But unfortunately, there was not. Why? Because you were missing in action. MIA, wanted posters. Where is Michael Porter Jr. in the postseason? Gone. Okay. So I'm sorry, but had to address that. Someone in the comments says, are you obsessed with MPJ? No, but I do find myself feeling obsessed with his antics as of late. Yeah, it's definitely entertaining. So call it obsession if you will, but yeah, he's definitely fun to watch. It's like you just wait for the next thing he says. And this time it just really, the gasp that I gusped, I was just like, did he just say what I thought he said? I actually had to rewatch it. I was like, okay, did somebody sneak an edible into my dinner? Am I in the clouds right now? Or is that what he said? And that's what he said, folks. So anyway, if he were to be coming off of a stellar postseason performance where it was like lights out, okay, yeah, give yourself a little pat on the back. We didn't have you present for most of the postseason. So I don't know where this confidence is coming from, but keep going with it, because I do think confidence is very important. And, I'm excited for you. And I hope that you tear it up out there. I think you're a little off. So anyway, we'll move on to something else. Why don't we move on to my weekly standings, my Where Do We Stand segment, where I give you guys my standings / rankings for really whatever I feel like. And today I feel like, actually, let me not take credit for this one, okay? This is why it's important to have good producers, okay? I'm texting my producer this morning. I'm like, dang, I really can't think of a weekly standings. She names a couple, and I said, that's the one. So we're going to talk about prove it players. Which players in the NFL this season do I feel like have the most to prove? Now, here's what I love about this standings, or this rankings, if you will. You could go a million different directions with this. You really, really could. It's kind of like the comeback player of the year mixed with like most improved. Okay. So you could make a case for about a million different guys in the NFL this season. But here's my list. We're going to start at 5 and work our way up to 1. Okay. And honestly, the actual rankings themselves, I feel like are kind of interchangeable in terms of where they lie. But let's start at 5, which is James Cook. And here's the deal. There was a bit of a contract standoff with James Cook, but he ended up signing a 4-year deal that will pay him $48 million, including $30 million that is guaranteed, okay? He had a great season last year. Cook tied for the NFL lead with 16 touchdown runs last season, coming off of an exceptional year. So you're probably thinking, Liv, why does he have to prove himself this year? Well, he's getting paid a lot of money. He got a pretty hefty contract. And so this is a Bills team that I feel like constantly feels like it's their year. You're going to need a guy like James Cook to continue to produce at the high level that he did last year if the Bills want to do anything significant this season. So I think he's got a lot to prove in the sense that you got paid. There was a bit of a standoff there with you getting your money. You got your money. Now you've got to show that you deserve that money, right? Yes, he had a great year. 16 rushing touchdowns. Fantastic. But you got to see that continue, especially if you're a Bills Mafia fan and you believe that under Josh Allen, this team can win a Super Bowl. It's going to take a guy like James Cook to help you get there. So, it's almost like you got to work even harder once you get your money. It's like you earned the money based on what you did last season, but now you got to show that you can keep it. That's what a Michael Porter Jr. didn't do. That's what we struggle with Jamal Murray, which is another conversation for another show once we start getting into all things NBA. But those are the things that frustrate fans is, okay, you got your bag and now where did you go? So James Cook is on my list here at 5 because he got his money. Now he needs to show and prove that he deserved that contract, okay? And if the Bills want to do anything significant this season, it's going to require a James Cook to really step up and basically do exactly what he did last season, if not better, okay? At number 4, here we go. I've talked about him before, but Anthony Richardson. Here's the deal. He has been quite the character since entering the NFL, right? He got benched, got a little slice of humble pie, got injured. But in the flashes you see from Anthony Richardson, you do feel like he can really be somebody. You do. I'm still holding on to that with him because I believe Anthony Richardson can be somebody in this league, and I want him to prove that, okay? Here's the hard part, though. He played in only 4 games as a rookie. He got a sprained shoulder, and he started just 11 last season and finished with the NFL's worst completion rate. So gets injured in his rookie year, comes back, and doesn't really deliver in the way that you hoped that he would, okay? Whether it's being benched or it's injury, he's come up behind Joe Flacco, now coming up behind the veteran in Danny Dimes. And I got to say, really, really love Daniel Jones, but just not convinced that he's the answer to the Colts' problems. I think you do want to invest in young guys that have a lot of, talent and are super athletic. And that's an Anthony Richardson. It really is. So a lot to prove, this guy, and some of this is going to depend on whether or not he gets the chance, the opportunity to do so, because Danny Dimes is going to be starting for this Colts team. But if given the opportunity to play, this is really where it matters. Like, you have got to see him do everything right. He's got to be a leader. He's got to be mature. He's got to definitely cannot have the worst completion rate, so got to stay healthy, got to take care of your body. A lot is riding on this season to me with Anthony Richardson. I kind of think it's do or die for him. And that sounds crazy given it's his 3rd season, but it really does feel that way. Feels a little do or die for Anthony Richardson. I feel like he's got a lot to prove this year. So he is number 4 on my prove it players for the NFL season. At number 3, Justin Fields. Okay. What an interesting journey he has had. Okay. First rounder in 2021 by Chicago. Was hoping to be the franchise quarterback there. That was a total pooper. Not even close. He was gone after just 3 seasons, shipped off to Pittsburgh, okay, where he actually did pretty stinking good. He was 4-2. And then he got benched for Russell effing Wilson. Can you believe it? It's the truth. So gets replaced by Russell Wilson. Wasn't the franchise quarterback in Chicago like he had hoped to be. And now he's replacing Aaron Rodgers. Those are big shoes to fill. Not an easy task at hand. I think Justin Fields, to me, is just the guy that put in the right environment, you're going to get a lot out of him. Now, sometimes you got to make a bad environment the right one, and I don't know if he is mature enough to do that. I think he strikes me as a guy that needs to be placed in something that's pretty much set up for him. It's all handled. You just got to do your job. But when you ask him to maybe have a little bit of a winning culture or a winning mindset or be a leader, is he ready for that? I don't think he's proven to us that he is. That being said, I certainly don't want to say that he's not capable, because I do believe he can be. So a lot to prove for him. Replacing Aaron Rodgers, big shoes to fill. Big shoes in the sense that that's a legacy, but really the bar is pretty low for the Jets, is it not? It feels like it is. I think it's only up from here if you're a Jets fan. So can Justin Fields be the guy that kind of restores this team? Because listen, they've got a few little upgrades in their offense. I think their playmaking abilities and all the things that they've got there, the young talent they've got on that team really can be special and can be something. But it is going to require a quarterback that, rises to the occasion, if you will. Can he do that? We're about to find out. That's why he's number 3 on my prove it players list, my weekly standings for this week. Okay, number 2, JJ McCarthy. Now, sad stuff. JJ McCarthy, 10th overall pick in last year's draft. And honest to goodness, had it not been for the knee injury, it was looking like this was your starter for the Minnesota Vikings. He played exceptionally well in the preseason. Sam Darnold slides into the mix and actually had a couple of games in there, a couple of weeks in there where he was playing at an MVP level, and all of us were like, hold on, who's this guy? So you've got an uninjured J.J. McCarthy now. They did not re-sign Darnold, okay? It's now McCarthy's turn in the driver's seat. He's got the keys to the vehicle. Kind of tough considering we have not yet seen him play at all as an NFL starter. I don't count preseason. I'm talking regular season play. You've got a lot going on. There's just a lot of question marks in the air, which is kind of a cool position to be in because the expectations aren't super high. So the pressure is not as high for a JJ McCarthy as it is for, let's say, a Jackson Dart, where you're like, okay, we might be handing you the keys to this vehicle if this Russell Wilson stuff doesn't play out. JJ McCarthy, we don't know what he's necessarily capable of. Actually, that was a bad comparison because Jackson Dart has not played in an NFL game either as a starter. What's a better comparison? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. He has not started in an NFL game yet. So there's not that pressure added of like, we've seen you do it, and now it's your turn. You got to do it again. We really just don't know what to expect from McCarthy at this point. So he is in charge of this offense. And we're about to find out if he's capable of leading this team to a successful season. And when you've got a weapon like Justin Jefferson, I think he could probably cop you out of trouble quite a bit because of how talented he is. But you also don't want to waste a generational talent like Justin Jefferson, So both JJs need to be on their P's and Q's this season. And JJ McCarthy, he's number 2 on my prove it players list because it's either where we get very impressed by him and he puts himself on the map, or we say, well, there's another dud. So JJ McCarthy, rooting for him, was really excited for him last season, and then he got injured. So excited to see what he brings to the table, especially for Minnesota. And then number 1 on my prove it players list is Trevor Lawrence. Here's the deal. Number 1 overall pick in the 2021 draft. Went to the Pro Bowl as an alternate in his second season. I have always said Trevor Lawrence is capable, kind of like Tua, where when they're on, you're like, gosh, that's a star right there. That's a star right there. But then they get injured or they just aren't playing well. And you're just kind of like, I don't really know how to feel. I don't know how I feel about Trevor Lawrence at this stage. I don't know if he's the guy that can win you a Super Bowl. Based on the flashes of talent that I've seen, absolutely he can. Will we get that through 18 weeks of football? Is he capable of that? He's got some new weapons. Travis Hunter on both ends of the ball. A lot of excitement around him. So when he's healthy and he's playing for a new coach and he's got a couple of new weapons, is this your franchise quarterback if you're a Jaguars fan? To be honest with you, when he plays well, it's like, hell yeah, absolutely. Do you see him play well consistently enough to believe he can win you a Super Bowl? This is your guy. There's been a lot of changes and inconsistencies and things throughout the Jacksonville franchise. So with a little more stability, here's the deal. And I talked about this as well when I did a live stream just the other week. I was talking about Justin Herbert. You can make a million excuses why Justin Herbert hasn't made it to an AFC championship game or hasn't made it to a Super Bowl. The coaches constantly changing and just no stability, lack of consistency within the franchise, which therefore made Justin Herbert's job very hard. Well, there is stability now. So the excuses are kind of no more. That's how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. You got a new coach. You've got some new weapons. If you stay healthy, we can no longer keep pushing blame, right? At some point, we may just have to say Trevor Lawrence is not him like we thought he was. But I hope that's not the case, okay? I hope there's a little bit more stability here in Jacksonville, and we get to see Trevor Lawrence be the quarterback that I think we all expected him to be. And we also get to see flashes of him being that quarterback. You just want to see it on a more consistent basis, okay? So with some stability here, I think we can no longer excuse the Trevor Lawrence stuff. He either shows up and he shows us he is great, or he shows us that he's mid. That's, to me, why he is number one on my Prove It players list, because I really am. Like, I lean more towards he's a great quarterback, but I'm not there yet. And I don't think anyone is. I think even if you're a Jaguars fan, you're not there yet. And quite frankly, you shouldn't be. So this is the year for Trevor Lawrence to show us what he's all about and to prove to us that he is a franchise quarterback and he is the guy that can take you to a Super Bowl. There you go. Okay, he's number one on my Prove It players list. Gotta love it. And I really am a huge fan of Trevor Lawrence. So I am rooting for this guy. I really am. Okay, let me really quickly just repost on X here and just get some more people in here. Hey, people, what's up? Okay. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out on this Friday. I know it's a very exciting Friday because we've got some football. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you guys my anytime touchdown scorer for tonight's matchup. My producer is a Chiefs fan. Boo. She was wearing a Chiefs jersey in the office today. What the hell is your problem, Andy? We'll talk about that later. No, I'm excited for her. This will be a great game tonight also because it's an AFC West division matchup. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the international games. They just throw me for a loop. They really do. I think they're great to have, though. You know, I'm not saying do away with international games. They're just not my favorite. They're not. But excited for this one because obviously we know, I would argue the AFC West has been the most talked about division leading up to this season because of the high-level coaches and the quarterbacks and the changes made to the Raiders. They're on the up and ups, and the Broncos made some changes. You know, there's just a lot going on. So it should be a good game either way. Got to be honest with you, as a Broncos fan, I don't really care who wins or loses. I would actually like them both to lose. How about that? So there's my take on that, but I will share my anytime touchdown scorer with you later. Let's get into our driven opinion segment. As you guys know, I take a back seat, and the back seat is a hot seat. All gas, no brakes. My producers come up with prompts, questions, things that I have to answer. I have zero prep. I have no notes. I don't even know what these topics are going to be, what they're going to look like. They just drop them in front of my face and I respond accordingly. So taking a back seat, the back seat's a hot seat, all gas, no brakes. Let's get into driven opinions. You guys know I love a hot take. I really do. And in my regular life, when I'm not doing this show and I'm not like doing my job, you know, sometimes it's just fun to ruffle feathers. Sue me. At least I'm self-aware and honest about it. I like to ruffle feathers from time to time. Is that a crime? It's not. Okay, let's get into it. I don't even know how many of these we have. I'll have my phone here because I'm sure Andy will text me and say, you know, here's how many we have. Oh, you guys, you're right. You're right. She just texted me really quick. Before we get into the driven opinions thing, one thing I have to mention, Christian McCaffrey already being listed on the injury list. My, oh, me, oh, my. You guys, me, oh, my, oh, me. My producer, Andy, she is funny. She said all it's going to take is 3 beers and she will join me on my show as a guest. So it's in writing. It's basically like she signed a contract. I will make sure I get her 3 beers at some point this season and she will be joining because she's very, very funny. Okay. She texted me. She's like, I'm starting to think this dude is made of glass. This is an honorable mention for me in terms of my Prove It players list. Like, I'm starting to get flashes of the Carolina Christian McCaffrey that was more injured than available. And I hate that. As someone who lives 15 minutes away from Valor Christian High School, okay, and grew up and sat in an IHOP just across from Christian McCaffrey when I was an ugly little high schooler. And I was like, I think he just looked at me like he wants me. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, girl, if you don't come back down to earth, okay, this man is not looking at you with your frizzy edges, your braces, and God knows what else, okay? But, you know, living in the same vicinity as Christian McCaffrey does feel like a flex that I like to pull out from time to time, although it's completely irrelevant. I am rooting for Christian McCaffrey. I am. But my gosh, feels like he is such a valuable piece to the San Francisco 49ers team that if he's unavailable, just forget it. Forget it, San Francisco. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is starting to feel a little bit like Carolina Christian, where it's like, we know the running backs take a lot, man. Their bodies are just beat up and bullied just about every time they play. All players, all football players, but especially the running back position. So, yeah, you hate to see it, but at the end of the day, it's feeling like he is made of glass, Andy, and we need to figure this out because it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. So Christian McCaffrey is my honorable mention prove it players list. And really, we just want him to prove to us that he is not made of glass. Okay. And that's that. Okay. Back to driven opinions driven by Landmark Lincoln. Here are the prompts. I, again, don't know what they are, what they say, what they're going to be about. So I'm seeing them for the first time, just like you. No prep. In the hot seat. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. What is the first one that Andy has for me? I'm a little scared. What NBA player is most likely to throw a fit over their NBA 2K rating? Not really throw a fit per se, but I'm sure I would see some sort of tweet from Kevin Durant on his account that seemingly acts like a burner account, but it is in fact just his account. Some troll would be out there being like, he deserves an 87 or, like just trying to piss him off. And it's all one of those things where these trolls just love attention. That's what trolls do. They just want to be seen and heard and noticed. You tweet at Kevin Durant and you will be. If you have any type of fandom for Kevin Durant, tweet at him and you're going to get the attention that you so desperately need, because that man stays on X. That man stays on his X account as if it's a burner account, just flaming people all day long. So I don't think Kevin Durant would necessarily throw a fit over his NBA 2K rating, but he would certainly be going back and forth with the trolls who insert their opinion. That I know for sure. Nikola Jokic couldn't care less, and we know that. I don't even know if he even knows what his rating is. I just don't think he cares. I could see maybe a Ja Morant, a little bit of a hothead, getting a little upset and like quote tweeting it with like the devil emoji and like eyeballs, kind of like, oh, you just woke up a beast because of that rating that I don't appreciate and don't agree with. Could definitely see that from Ja Morant. I don't have anyone else that comes to mind right away. I could probably see Draymond Green getting on his podcast and sharing a few words about being like, that's BS. Dylan Brooks too. It's all the ones that are not afraid to yap. The yappers would probably have something to say. But I would say you're most likely to get the funniest responses and feedback from Kevin Durant because he does function his X account as if it's a burner. And I'm sure someone would put their opinion out there. He would surely see it because he sees them all. I actually am wondering, does he just like search his name on X and just anything that comes up that's trolling him, he's like, cool. Late night for me is sipping some tea and playing Sudoku. Late night for Kevin Durant is probably the compression, socks on his legs in an ice bath, searching his name on X and flaming the trolls. To each his own. I love it. It's free entertainment for the rest of us. So like, keep it going. Okay, next prompts. Let's see what we've got here. What is next? What player is most likely to join a pyramid scheme in the offseason? I could see Justin Herbert selling Cutco knives, door to door, using the charm, very charming fellow, and humble too. So he's like, yeah, I've got millions and I've got this cool big contract, but I'm not above selling a Cutco knife to my friendly neighbor. I could see Justin Herbert selling Cutco knives door to door in the off season, driving like a really just low key car, kind of going, under the radar, in disguise a bit, if you will. Justin Herbert immediately came to mind. Yeah. Justin Herbert to me would for sure sell Cutco knives door to door. I could see it. Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to think of somebody else, but I think after watching Starting Five, no, I was going to say Sabonis is like such a humble guy, so he would not be above like doing some things like that just to make a little extra money, but he's also got young kids. I don't think he has time to go door to door selling Cutco knives, but Justin Herbert's definitely my favorite answer. We're sticking with that. Justin Herbert in another life was a door to door salesman for Cutco. You heard it here first. Okay. Do we have one more? We've got 3. That's right. She texted me that we have 3. Okay. Last one. Is it a red flag if your significant other never posts you on social media? Yes and no. I will tell you, my entire dating experience with Alex was kept completely private. I did not post this man anywhere. I actually think the hot take on the other side of this question here is the couples that overpost each other, to me, are probably compensating for something. You know, I've met a lot of couples or men in particular that do that woman crush Wednesday after they've had a misbehaving Tuesday night. It's like, uh-oh, why are we compensating? What are you doing? Why all of a sudden am I seeing you, gloat and praise your woman when you don't typically do that? So it's a very circumstantial situation here. However, overcompensating, overposting your partner, to me, is always kind of a bit of a orange flag. I'll call it orange. It's not quite red, but it's orange because it is very circumstantial. And I just think in this day and age, keeping things private is the way to go. You spare yourself the scrutiny, the opinions, the judgment. Like, I got to tell you, I'm getting to a phase in my life where it's like not one person on this planet is going to tell me what to do and what not to do. I'm telling you right now. I'm actually almost to the point where it's like, the more you tell me what to do, the less I'm going to listen to you. You know what I mean? Like, this is, so if I were ever like told, like, don't, and by the way, this was years ago, when I first started dating my partner, this is a true story. I was advised by people in this industry to not post him. Do you know what that made me want to do? Post him. Because why? And what's funny is then I posted our engagement photos and I did lose thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. Don't even get me started on that, because I just think that's so weird of people. Like, did you think you had a chance? Is that what this was? And now you're upset? I don't know. I don't get people. And I'm not for everybody. So I don't take it personally. But I think this is all very circumstantial. I would say the more you can keep private in this day and age with social media, the better. You put yourself in a position to not be subjected to people's opinions that you don't need. Now, if you are somebody that is traveling a lot, you play a professional sport, and you're quote unquote married and or, with somebody, and I hardly see that person on your page, yeah, red flag for sure. For sure. Definitely. And again, it's circumstantial. So some guys just don't really vibe with the whole social media thing. So it's like, I respect that too, but you can always tell, if you ever have questions about that, shoot me a DM, ask me. I have great intuition. You can give me the little bullet points of the circumstance and I'll tell you if it's a red or a green flag. Because sometimes it's green that people keep to themselves and keep things private. Other times it's red for sure. Super red. So very circumstantial. Okay, those topics weren't bad today. I feel like we survived that just fine. Okay, we are going to get into, I've got 2 more segments for you guys. Let me see. I'm going to just get more, I'm going to retweet it again and get more people in here, it's a Friday. I'm not trying to bother people on a Friday, but we're live, so we may as well get as many people in here as we can. Oh, okay. And I just got a call. It's clear the person that called me is not watching my show. And shame on them. That's one of my best friends. There's a strike for them. We'll put it down on the chalkboard. Okay. I'm kidding. But let's move on. We've got 2 more segments. The Off My Chest segment, where I just kind of vent about situations that are irking me or I have a really strong opinion on. And then, of course, my love language, which is betting, because I do have an anytime touchdown score for you tonight. And I've also got some upset alerts for Sunday. So let's get into it. The Off My Chest segment, of course, I saw it. I saw the spit I saw the spit, hard to miss the spit. Okay, so let's get into this. I guess we can talk about this situation very specifically, which is, Andy, do we even have a clip of the situation? I don't even think I asked you to pull it. So if we don't have it, it's truly not a big deal. She didn't pull it. That's fine. You guys all saw it. Here's what I don't think enough people didn't maybe take note of. And by the way, hear me when I say it does not excuse Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott. The one thing I need to start by saying is if you spit on me, I'm throwing hands. Under no circumstance will I be spat on and just take it. I won't. Like, to me, that's a fighting action. That's threatening. That's assault. And now you have awoken a beast inside of me. I don't get spat on and just stand there. I'm a pretty peaceful person. I don't like to go that way. But if you spit on me, like, it's on sight. That to me is so effing disrespectful. I mean, it's disgusting, but two, it is so disrespectful. So under no circumstance am I being spat on. Let me say it this way. Jalen Carter took the bait. Could you absolutely make a case that Dak Prescott was being a little immature? Yes. Aren't they all a little bit? We talk a lot as a society about how overly emotional women are, but men are quite emotional themselves, the taunting. Dak Prescott spit first. That is true. Now, did Dak Prescott spit on Jalen Carter? No, he did not. He spit towards Jalen Carter. It was absolutely provoking, and he absolutely knew what he was doing. Okay? He did. And Dak Prescott explained a little bit, like, I spit, and then he came over and he was talking all this, whatever. It's like, dog, they zoomed in on your face. You spit, you looked at him, you snickered, you laughed, you ha ha ha. Come on. Like, we weren't born yesterday. We know what you were doing. He was baiting Jalen Carter. And sadly, Jalen Carter, still being young, took the bait. And he let his emotions get the best of him. Jalen Carter, the best thing you could have done is said, okay, pretty boy, spit in my direction and laugh in my face. Next play, I got you. You're cooked. You guys are cooked. That's how you get your get back. You don't walk up to him and spit on him. Because like I said, there is no circumstance in which I am getting spat on and just taking it. No, you just assaulted me. And now it's self-defense at this point. That's how I see it. So the sad reality is, yes, people are not talking about the fact that Dak Prescott spit first. But the reality is Dak Prescott spat at, he did not spit on. What a conversation this is. He spat at, and he provoked, and he instigated, and he poked the bear, and the bear got really effing pissed and handled it in a really not professional way. These are the tough lessons that Jalen Carter will learn in this league, which is no matter how mad you get, at the end of the day, your reaction is what got you in trouble. Now, this is like a classic case of like siblings, right? Where the parent walks in when, I'll use me as an example. If my younger brother, when we were young, was just poking, just trying to instigate, and then my parents happened to catch the tail end of my reaction, guess who got in trouble? Not the poker. No, the monster that reacted because they were sick of being poked. This was a classic baiting situation. Jalen Carter unfortunately took it, and in doing so, he now looks like a real big D-bag because, again, spitting is just the lowest of the effing lowest, okay? It is. I actually would have rather Jalen Carter just gone over and just punched him upside the head. That, to me, is actually better than being spit on. So it's tough because Dak did spit first, but Dak spat at, not on. Very different. Dak was intending to provoke. Jalen Carter got provoked and took advantage in a not so great way. So, I think this is a learning lesson for Jalen Carter. I don't think he's a horrible human because I think he, like most of us, had a very human reaction. You punch me, I punch you. You kick me, I kick you. You bite me, I bite you. You spit at me, I spit. Should have been at him, but it was on him. So there's some mistakes that were made here. There were definitely some mistakes that were made here. These are the things he's going to learn as he matures and grows in this league. And that's what you hope for. This is not going to make or break, in my opinion, the type of player that he is or how people view him. It was a gross situation, but I think most people also saw it for what it was, which was there was an instigator and there was a responder. Unfortunately, he didn't respond the right way, but he did respond. So, it's a growing and a learning and an evolving situation, and hopefully he does just that. Okay, there's my take on the spit debacle. I'm definitely not on Jalen Carter's side because, like I said, you're catching hands if you spit on me. I'm not kidding. Don't do it. But Dak knew what he was doing. Like, let's be real. We all saw it. So it is what it is. Okay, moving on. Final segment, love language, which is the wonderful game of sports betting. Okay, last night I was on George Pickens' anytime touchdown. So you're probably sitting there thinking, Liv, why on earth would we listen to your advice about who you like to score tonight? You don't have to, but I'm going to share it anyways because I like to share things. Is that a crime? It's not. So we've got our anytime touchdown scorer for tonight, which is Travis Kelce. Yes. The man that's in love. The man that is newly engaged, that is living his best effing life. Patrick Mahomes, old reliable tight end, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce to me is one of those guys that when all else fails, he will be the go-to. He will be the go-to guy. I really like Travis Kelce tonight to end up in the end zone. I also like George Pickens last night. That didn't go anywhere. But Travis Kelce to me is one of those where, especially in a season opener, given his off season, I think Travis Kelce likes attention. I don't think we have to, pretend that he doesn't. He does, okay? The other one that I saw that I don't hate is Pacheco. Don't hate that one either. But Travis Kelce, to me, again, just all reliable. Cam in the chat says Xavier Worthy is his anytime touchdown. These are all great. They're going to find a way. And to me, it's just who's the most consistent target. And I think over the course of the years and the success and the Super Bowl wins and all the things, Travis Kelce is Patrick Mahomes' guy. And if it doesn't work tonight, for sure he's still going to be a target for Patrick Mahomes. So to me, it feels like one of the more safe bets, although those don't exist. So don't get carried away with that. But I do really like Travis Kelce to end up in the end zone tonight. Okay. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. Now, I've got a little bit of an upset alert, and you can use it as you can place it as a parlay. I will probably do a little bit of both. I'll probably make a little parlay and sprinkle on that. But I will also just take these as straight bets, okay? These are underdogs that I have winning outright. First and foremost, Jets money line. I know. You're probably sitting there going, why would you do that? Well, I was just talking about Justin Fields, right? And not all hope is lost with Justin Fields, in my humble opinion. It's just not. But where I have lost quite a bit of hope? Aaron Rodgers. I'm over it. I really think this is going to be the Jets' opportunity to kind of get their get back. Because I think one thing Aaron Rodgers was really effing good at was deflecting. It was everybody else's problem. He was not the reason that we lost. It was something else. Okay. It was another issue in the system, which, yeah, there's actually some truth to that. There were a lot of things the Jets needed to address, but quite frankly, we gave Zach Wilson quite a hard time about what he did in New York, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't much better. And this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. This is an MVP. So I'm kind of just no longer on the Aaron Rodgers train. And it's not that I don't think he's a great quarterback, and I don't think he's been a great quarterback, and he has. But the game has just evolved in such a way that I just don't think it's for him anymore. This Jets team has a lot of weapons, a lot. They really do. So I kind of like the Jets to upset the Steelers. Jets are playing at home. I have predicted that the Steelers miss the playoffs. Starting their season with an L would certainly help me in that prediction. But I like the Jets to win outright over the Steelers. If it happens, You heard it here first. Okay. Next up on my list for upset alert. Listen, some of these you guys are just not going to like, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Bears money line. This is a virtual pick 'em in most sports books. If we're being completely honest, it's like 1.5. I think that I'm sorry, that they're the underdog by. It's a virtual pick 'em, and actually, this is a Monday night game, so this is not. I guess this parlay or these bets are not entirely Sunday, but Monday. The Bears are at home playing the Vikings. Again, in a first regular season start, do I expect JJ McCarthy to be cool, calm, collected, and perfect? No, I really don't. Do I think JJ McCarthy can really do some great things with this team? Of course I do. Is it going to happen right away? I'm not sold yet. There's just too many question marks here for me with this Vikings team. And I got to be honest, the Bears to me are on the up and ups. This is their season to really turn things around. It really, really is. So I like the Bears, not just in this game, but also in their season. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a new and rejuvenated version of himself. Ben Johnson, I've talked about a million times, coach of the year. He's my pick, and I think he's holding players accountable. They address the O-line. They're just setting the Bears up for more success. And I like the Bears at home in their season opener to get the upset in a virtual pick 'em. Like I said, the Vikings are favored by 1.5. It's a virtual pick 'em, but I like the Bears here. You get a little bit of better odds because they are technically the underdog. So Bears money line, Jets money line, and finally, last but not least, Dolphins money line. I know it sounds disgusting, doesn't it? It does. Another virtual pick 'em here, though. You know, you've only got the Colts at home favored by 1.5. I can't get behind anything the Colts are doing right now. I just can't. And maybe they'll prove me wrong this season, but I just am not convinced that Danny Dimes is the answer to their problems. I just am not. I'm sorry. And I actually really like Danny Dimes, and I've been waiting for him to be able to play a full football game where he's up on his feet and not lying horizontal. Will that day be on Sunday? I don't know, but I like Danny Dimes. I'm not wishing him ill at all. I just don't believe in what the Colts are and what they're doing, and I'm sorry, I still believe in the Dolphins and the weapons that they've got. Do I think there's going to be some regression for the Dolphins? I do. But do I think they can compete versus a Colts that's having an identity crisis? Yeah, I do. I think they can win. So in a virtual pick 'em, give me Dolphins money line. So I gave you Jets money line. I gave you Bears money line. I gave you Dolphins money line. And to be honest with you, that's what I like. That's what I like. And I may stick it in a parlay and sprinkle on it, but I also may just ride those as straight bets because that feels like the responsible thing to do for week 1 of the NFL season. There's plenty of weeks ahead where I can do the parlay thing. I will likely have more anytime touchdown scores that I like as we get closer to Sunday because I love those bets. There is nothing better than sweating out an anytime touchdown score on a Sunday. Nothing better. Thank you so much. So I will probably have some more, but for now, that's what I've got. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown tonight. And then, of course, for the Sunday, Monday slate, we've got Jets money line, Bears money line, Dolphins money line. Might put it in a parlay, might leave it as straight bets, but that's what I like. There you go. Okay. This has been another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods presented by Landmark Lincoln. Shout out to my 2025 Lincoln Nautilus that's chilling in the garage right now. It's the best car I've ever driven. I'm not kidding. And sometimes it even drives itself. Okay, I'm fine with that. I can eat corn nuts and put on my lip gloss. Who's mad? Not me. It's the best car. Make sure you guys head to Landmark Lincoln off of Bellevue and Broadway. Figure out why they have been the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado for as long as they have. Tell them I sent you. Test drive one of their vehicles. They literally speak for themselves. You will not go back. Alex is already considering doing the swap. It's true. He loves my car, and he should. Because it's perfect. So there you go. Presented by Landmark Lincoln. This has been another episode of Mood Swings. I am headed to Hawaii on Monday, but have no fear. We will be still filming episodes. I will pre-film. Probably pre-film a little reaction to Sunday's slate for you guys. It'll go out on Monday, same time as it always does. And then, of course, Friday, I might be sitting in front of a volcano filming an episode, but we'll still be chatting. We'll still be hanging out. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging just because I'm going on a trip. I'm going to bring you with me, actually, and we'll hang out. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. like I said, another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. We'll see you same time, Monday, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll have some different backdrops. I believe we'll do this backdrop again on Monday, and then maybe a volcano, maybe a waterfall, maybe the beach. I don't know. Maybe I'll be holding a turtle. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but we'll also have an episode Friday. And then, of course, happy NFL Week 1. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. See ya.